Hello, everybody. Thanks, everyone, for coming in today to talk a little bit about Google My Business. So just a little bit of housekeeping for this webinar before we get started. Everyone's logged into the screen share, so we have a deck that we're sharing. So if you want to log into the GoToMeeting and see that information, you can. All of this information, the webinar is being recorded and will be posted on go.trader.ca. And we will be as well sending out having the deck there, any of the information if you would like to follow up afterwards. Any questions that anybody has in the GoToMeeting webinar, there is a chat or there is a question section. If you want to put any questions that you have during that during the webinar into that chat, at the very end, I will be addressing any and all of those questions. So as we go through, feel free to drop any in, and at the end, I'll answer as many as I can. Okay. So this is a voice that you're hearing is you see on the screen now. My name is Darcy Burke. I'm the Senior Manager of Digital Solutions and SEO at Trader. Been here for about 5 years. My history, background is in both website development for about 15 years and 10 years in SEO and search engine marketing and conversion optimization, and essentially helping local businesses and automotive dealers grow their presence online. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking today, and focused around a specific tool called Google My Business. So we're going to talk, the agenda that I have for you today as part of the webinar, we're going to talk about specifically how Google My Business has evolved over time to be your customer's first brand experience, your first digital, the first digital experience with your brand. We're going to talk about why it's such a powerful tool and how it can be used for brand building and customer acquisition. We're going to show, and then at the second half, we're going to talk about things that you can actually do to help improve your listing. So we're going to talk about some underutilized features to gain a competitive edge, and then we're going to talk about some more simple practical optimizations that you can make today to help gain more visibility, get more ranking, and get more value from this tool. So with that, we'll jump right in. Like I said, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and we'll address it after the webinar. So section 1, Google My Business, your customer's first brand experience. Now, think Google puts a lot, and Trader puts a lot of time into researching the automotive industry. And out of the last Google Think Dealer, a conference that they do every year about the automotive industry, in 2019, Google found that 84% of auto shoppers use digital sources through their vehicle purchase journey as their primary source of information, and using search as one of those ways to do it, Google search. So we all know that our customers are all online. And this year as well, there was twice as many car buyers starting their research online versus at the dealership, right? That's again, another big change is that, our customers are first learning about our inventory and researching our cars online before ever communicating or coming to the dealership. And the data I have on the table on the right-hand side for you is a Keystone consumer research study done by Trader, and it shows that things like evaluating what I want from my car, narrowing down the initial vehicles I want, setting my budget, conducting research, actually deciding on the vehicle, all of these things the customer does digitally before ever communicating with the dealership. So having that, the thought of your dealership being the brand experience for your customer is really, it's not the case in today's market, in today's industry, is your dealership is not that first brand experience. Now, some would say that maybe my website is my first brand experience with my customer. But I would like to suggest that actually your Google My Business listing is your first digital touch point, your first brand experience with your customer. So somebody is searching for your business online. What are the things that they would want to come to your website for, right? If I'm suggesting that your website isn't your first brand experience, but your Google My Business listing is, Well, let's compare some of those things. What is the information that someone would want in my website that I'm suggesting that they can actually get in Google My Business before they ever get to your site? So things like photos, understanding what the dealership looks like, what the inventory looks like. How about actual product information and inventory information? You can actually list your makes and models. You can actually link customers directly to your inventory. All of this information right within Google My Business. How about reviews? Learning about the dealership and learning about, customers' past experience. All of that can be done before you get to the website. Contact information. Google My Business is full of contact information, directions, address, hours, phone number. All that information is readily available before the customer ever needs to come to your website. And they can even book appointments directly within Google My Business. So all of this functionality that our website handles, our Google My Business listing handles as well, directly within search results. And this is, this listing appears all over the internet for automotive searches. I'm giving you you can see here how your listing shows in mobile versus perhaps how it shows in desktop. And we know that over 50% of all Google searches in Canada are done on mobile. So you really want to make sure that your listing, your website, your whole brand experience looks awesome on mobile first. Your Google My Business listing also is what drives your rankings in search for places like the map or the map results in Google Search or the local finder within Google Maps. All of these listings that you see here, all of that information is actually derived from your Google My Business local listing. Again, before they ever get to your dealership, this is where they're experiencing your brand. And how these listings rank, what makes one rank above the other, we're going to talk a little bit about towards the end of the webinar and ways to get you boosted up these rankings in the map paths and the local finders. What's really important, again, is just how much the exposure to your Google My Business listings has grown over the last year. So we have the data from about 600 dealerships, Google My Business listings across Canada. And I've split them out here into two categories, franchise dealerships and independent dealerships. And we can see the average number of impressions, so how many times the website or the Google My Business listing shows up in search, how many visits that listing generates to the website, how many direction requests it generates, and how many phone calls it generates. So the numbers in black there, those are the average for a franchise dealership in a given month or an independent dealership. And the numbers in green are the growth year over year. So of the average customer growth, we're seeing massive increases in the number of times that these listings show up and the number of actions like visits, directions requests, and calls year over year. So the importance and value of these listings is growing. And the fact that these listings have all of this information and the fact that they're showing up more and more in search is leading to almost 50% of all Google searches, local business searches, resulting in no clicks to the website. The customers are getting the information that they need directly within that Google My Business listing without ever having to come to your website. So it's more important now than ever to ensure that your listing is filled with the right, accurate information. Okay, so a few key takeaways there. Search digital is the primary source for automotive research. Your first brand experience, the customer's first brand experience, think about it as your Google My Business listing, no longer your website, definitely not your dealership. Your Google My Business listing is what all the information and optimization done within that listing is what helps you rank for those local searches and those informational searches. And 50% of all searches, local searches, don't result in a click, organic or paid. So having that information be accurate and up to date is extremely helpful. Okay, so what are some other reasons that makes Google My Business a powerful brand building and customer acquisition tool? So we already talked about all of the information that a customer can find on your Google My Business listing. Again, having all that information accurate and up to date, extremely important. Well, let's break down and talk a little bit more about one that's super important that I think a lot of dealers really already understand and latch onto. I just want to reinforce a little further, and that's reviews. So of course your dealership's reviews and your review rating is going to appear on your listing. But did you know at the bottom or lower down on that review, you also have reviews from third-party platforms? So I've seen things like DealerRater, Facebook, Unhaggled, Yelp, Yellow Pages, all fall in here. So you don't only want to make sure that your reviews are strong on Google, you want to make sure that your reviews are strong on third-party listings too, so that you can have a consistent message to your customers. And responding to reviews is extremely important, right? The top, and you can see them the data on the right-hand side there, again from that AutoTrader Keystone study that we do. The number one source of information for why a customer would choose one business over the other, online reviews is the most important decision factor in choosing a dealer versus a competitor. So these reviews are extremely important, and responding to them is extremely important for brand building tactics. So you want to make sure that you respond to as many reviews as possible, all of them if you have that capacity, and not only the positive ones with a simple thank you and glad we could serve you, but also the negative ones, and taking that negative review and turning it around and addressing it, acknowledging it, and turning that potentially into a positive experience for anybody that's reading that negative or review. So that's very important. Take the time to respond to each and every review, both positive and negative, to have a good brand experience. The next thing that makes GMB, Google My Business, a powerful brand building tool, there's a section in everybody's Google My Business listing called questions and answers. And this is very different from reviews, where customers can actually ask you a question directly within your Google My Business listing. And what's interesting about that is anybody can answer these questions, not just the business. So you can see here that I have two screenshots. The one on the left is showing you the response from the business, where it actually would list the business's name. It would say, I'm the owner, and you can answer the question from that business. But on the screenshot on the right-hand side, you can see that there's answers from the community. Anybody in the community, whether they're a local guide or not, can go in and answer this question. And sometimes those answers that you can get in there are not super favorable or are not accurate. And you don't want to have misleading information on your Google My Business listing. So it's important to monitor these questions and answer them directly from the business. Right? We want, because sometimes these questions and answers can actually show up directly, prominently in the listing without having to click on the section. And here's an example of a kind of a brand nightmare where somebody's posted a question and it's actually more of a review or a statement about the business, where they're suggesting that they were mistreated by the service department, and the person that answered it agreed with them. And this is what appears directly prominently on the local listing, is this very negative brand sentiment. So it's important to get ahead of these, monitor your questions, and answer them. So what makes Google My Business a customer acquisition tool? Well, there's a feature directly within Google My Business about chat, for chatting. And I know all of our dealership websites have chat integration. Most of them do, sorry. Chat is becoming a more and more popular acquisition tool, and Google My Business allows for this direct communication with the customer through chat. So in order to chat with your customers through your Google My Business listing, you have to enable that feature and then have the Google My Business app downloaded on your phone, where you're then going to be able to chat with your customers. And if you have a good response time, that's going to display prominently on your listing and hopefully bring you more chats as customers see that you have a good, strong response time. And more around customer acquisition and why that's important for Google My Business is you can actually now, and Google has released this beta version, and a lot of your listings, if you check your Google My Business listings backend, a lot of your listings have the ability for you to actually add products and inventory, or maybe a showroom. Treat this as a digital showroom with your franchise dealers, where you can add your inventory or add your models and deep link those pieces to an SRP, a search result page, or a VDP. So this is extremely important, and Google's only going to grow this. They've been evolving the solution over the last several months, and they're only going to grow it further. So your Google My Business listing now has this really unique ability to showcase your products in your inventory more than just information about your business. So some key takeaways there. You want to grow your consumer trust by engaging with both your positive and negative reviews. Answer as many of your reviews as possible. Simple thank you for positive ones, more in depth for some negative reviews. Be a source of information. Don't let the community answer your customers' questions. You need to answer your customers' questions. Enable chat on your listing and engage with your customers that way for new potential opportunities to acquire customers directly within search, and add your products and let your customers view your inventory in search through the product section in Google My Business. Okay. Next section that we have, so uncovering the most utilized features to gain a competitive edge. So everything that we've talked about so far is kind of reinforcing why Google My Business is important, reinforcing why so many people are using that as a source for information. All of your potential customers are going through that channel. Now let's talk about some ways that we can continue to improve that listing and make it better. So the very first one is such a simple optimization, such a simple task that I see very few listings use. So every listing has a link to the website. Everybody does that. Everybody puts in that link on their Google My Business listing. But there's actually more links that you can add to your listing, one of them being an appointments link. So you can actually add a link directly to an appointments page, whether that be for service or booking a test drive, whatever it may be. You can add that very simply within your listing. And the data that I'm showing you on the presentation shows that of all of the form submissions that we get that come through the main website link versus the appointment link, or all of the clicks to call that we get from all of our customers that use this, we're finding that there's 5 times the conversion rate when you send a customer directly to a contextual page about booking an appointment versus sending them right to the homepage and having them find that themselves. So simply adding this link, you can get brand new, higher conversion rates and convert customers better that will just want to book an appointment with you. And a quick tip for you here, adding tracking parameters to any of your links so that you can track where the clicks are coming from and where they're going is something that I would highly recommend for your website link and for any appointments link or any other link you put on your list. We talked about the questions and answer section. I just want to reinforce this again as an underutilized feature. I see so many questions listed on dealers' Google My Business listings and so few answers from the owners of the business. It's all answers from the community, and it's confusing whether or not those answers are legitimate or not. So go into your Google My Business listing. You actually access this from the front end. So if you look for your listing in Google search, you click the questions and answers section, and as long as you're logged in to the Google My Business, to the email address associated with your Google My Business account, you can answer the questions directly from search. So I would answer those questions as the owner, and then I would also thumb up or like your answer so that it can have it can grow and that answer can be the authoritative one over maybe one from the community. Okay. An interesting tip that we do for some of our dealers that we manage these listings for is we actually use this section as a mini FAQ. And as the owner of the business, we'll actually pose a question. We'll write a question to our own listing and say something like, our customers often ask X. Are we open on Saturdays or are we open on Sundays? And then answer that question as the business. And as long as you're transparent, that you're not trying to mislead and put a question from a fake email address, you're actually saying, I'm the owner and our customers often ask, that's a neat way to add a sort of a mini FAQ right within your Google My Business listing. Google My Business posts. Now, I still want to flag this as an underutilized feature. It has grown in dealerships using this. I see a lot more over the last year, but still not enough. you can actually post information on your Google My Business listing about your about something new that's happening at the dealership, an event, your OEM promotions, and again, products like your in-stock inventory or your model lineup. And I would be doing these Google My Business posts as frequent as you do maybe social media posts, or as frequent as you do any other kind of piece of information about a special or an event. I would highly recommend you use the event or offer post as often as you can, because the what's new type posts are only visible for 7 days, and the event or offer posts are actually going to stay up for the length of the term. So if you're a franchise dealer and your manufacturer offers come out at the beginning of the month, create a Google My Business post for it, and it'll automatically come down at the end of the month when the promo is over. The product section, again, we talked about this a little bit and why Google My Business is such a powerful brand building tool. But the product section is something that's extremely important, that if you look at that screenshot that I have in the middle there, can show very predominantly on your listing. It can actually showcase your inventory or your model showroom for your dealership, and allow customers to view your inventory earlier and more often before actually getting to your website. So again, just want to stress the importance of this very underutilized feature. It's fairly new, and Google just released it, opened up the access to it for a lot of businesses. So go in and check. I've kind of highlighted for you there where it shows up in your listing. It's called Products Beta. So take a look at that. And then much like your products, you can also list your services. So you can list the services that the dealership offers, anything from whether it actually be your service department and your battery replacement, or your tire shop, or anything like that. You can list that and provide information there. And although this information isn't super predominant on the front end of the listing, you can find it if you're on mobile. I personally believe that Google is going to use this information and some of the other information within your Google My Business listing for voice search in the future. Google's moving a lot to using voice search, and I think that listings that have this information in here are going to be at an advantage when Google maybe releases more local capabilities around finding a business through voice search. So perhaps, find me a Toyota dealership that offers battery replacement or something like this, or where can I get a wheel alignment? Where's the closest service center that can give me wheel alignment? Google's going to look to this information to rank you and have you show up for those voice searches. Again, that's just my opinion. That's not the state today, but I see Google moving in that direction. So just another reason, other than having a full and complete listing, another reason why I would suggest using this section in your Google My Business listing. So a couple key takeaways there from some underutilized features. So create that appointment URL. It's super simple to do, takes 2 seconds, and can really help you get more conversion. Answer the customer's questions in your Google My Business listing. Don't let the community answer them. And create a mini FAQ, because it can be really helpful for customers engaging with your brand for the first time. Create Google My Business posts frequently, as often as you can. Same if you're posting on social media, there are tools to syndicate those posts across both Google My Business and social. I would be doing those posts as often as you can. And create a products and services catalog to showcase your dealership's offerings to, again, give more information to not only customers, but Google about the things that your business offers. Okay, so the last section is more about some practical optimizations that you can make today to get more visibility. So these are all centered around increasing your ranking in Google in local search based on your Google My Business listing. So the very first thing, obviously, let's tackle any of the things that I just suggested in the underutilized features. Let's check all those boxes and start utilizing those things today. Those things are all going to help you get more visibility in search. This is a strategy which I highly recommend that a lot of dealerships aren't doing today. Almost every dealership has a Google My Business listing for their dealership, of course. but very few have listings for their parts department and their service department. And Google explicitly, in their support documentation, suggests that automotive dealerships should have a separate Google My Business listing for each of their departments: sales, parts, service, body shop if you have one. I have a dealer that has a car wash, and we created a separate listing for their car wash. All of these should have separate Google My Business listings. And if you look at some of the data I have here from Think with Google, 25% of all automotive searches are about parts and service, and over 50% of auto parts and service shoppers who use mobile call the service provider directly from search, so they never get to your website. And if you don't have a listing for your parts and service department separately, you're likely missing out on all of this opportunity. Take a look at what I'm showing you here, two different screenshots. So the one in the middle, I'm a customer that's looking for an auto repair shop in Toronto, and I get a listing of a bunch of service centers, a bunch of auto repair shops, no car dealers. But on the screenshot on the right-hand side, here I have same thing. I have some auto repair shops, but I actually also have a car dealer who has created a separate Google My Business listing for their service center. And now they're able to rank and get traffic for local service-related searches because they have this listing. So without it, you're missing out on this opportunity. So here's how I would specifically go about executing that. So create those listings, give each a unique name, call it, ABC Autos Service and Repair Center, ABC Autos Parts Store, something like this. Have a unique phone number and have a unique website URL. Just link it to the service or parts page on your website. The address, if it's the same, can stay the same. There's no issues with duplicate listings and having the same address. That's a very old problem that no longer exists, as long as you have some of the other information like your name, your phone number, and your website be different. You can link these listings together once they're all created and verified. You go into once the service listing is created, when you look at that service listing in Google search, there's a section there where you can suggest that this service listing is located in, and then you type in your primary dealership's listing and link those two together. You can actually link your service and parts dealerships in with your primary listing, and the reason why you want to do that is because in that primary listing, your sales listing that shows up for branded searches, it will actually show the hours, the separate hours for your parts department and your service department. A very long-standing complaint a lot of dealers have with Google My Business is that the hour, you can only set one set of hours. But if you create a separate listing for each of your departments and you link them together, the hours you can separate. Okay, and Ford, there's a lot of Ford dealerships. Automatically, Ford went out and created these Google My Business listings for a lot of the Ford dealerships. So a lot of them already have that. And when I look at those Ford dealerships in some of the data that we have, we found that you can get 3 times the impressions for keywords like Ford service versus that keyword ever showing up or ranking for your primary listing. So it's extremely important. Photos. Adding photos to your Google My Business listing, something that has been around since the very beginning of Google My Business that dealers just don't do enough of. And it's interesting because Google recently updated their support documentation and explicitly said that those that are uploading photos consistently and regularly will boost your rankings in search. And it's very uncommon for Google to ever call out a specific action that will boost your rankings. They do specifically with photos. So please add photos as frequently and as often as possible. Add holiday hours. Holidays are coming up. Make sure your Google My Business listing has your hours for Christmas, for Boxing Day, for New Year's, because if you don't, Google's going to put up a flag on your listing that says these hours might be different or these hours might be wrong. And the last thing Google wants is to show information that might be inaccurate. So potentially adding in holiday hours may be a positive ranking signal to Google that you're a business that is actively utilizing this listing and providing Google with up-to-date, accurate information. Quickly, because we're running out of time here, but a few last ones. Have you ever noticed your Google My Business listing information change without you changing it yourself? So your hours might change, your address might change, your name might change. Well, this is either people in the community going into your Google My Business listing and changing it themselves, or if you have other information about your business online, like on Yellow Pages or Yelp or 411.ca, if you have inconsistent information across those listings and your Google My Business listing, Google's going to change that for you. They're going to assume that your information is wrong because in so many other places like Facebook and Foursquare and Bing, you have different information. So ensuring that your information is accurate across the internet on all of these citation sources is extremely important to not only ranking better, but to ensure that your information on your Google My Business listing does not get overwritten. So keeping those listings and citations and directories up to date is important as well. And very last thing here, very simple optimization. Ensure that you're using the right primary category and that your secondary categories are filled out as well. Having all of these categories properly filled out is going to help you rank better. So quickly, if your primary category should be car dealer for your primary listing, for your service listing, it should be car service, and for your parts listing, your primary category should be auto parts store. Okay. And what we found is that all of our customers that we manage their Google My Business listings for, we do all of these things already, right? We do all of these optimizations. So when we compare the customers that we do these optimizations for and the customers that don't do these optimizations, we find that for franchise dealers, you get 16% more impressions, 3% more actions, which are website visits, calls, directions, requests. Independent dealers, non-franchise dealers, they get 13% more impressions and 39% more actions. For commercial and recreational dealers, RV dealers, boats, this sort of thing, 69% increase in impressions and 101% increase in Google My Business actions. So this is because these, maybe independent and commercial and recreational dealers aren't utilizing these features maybe as much as franchise, but regardless, doing these things is going to boost your exposure and actions, and it's also going to increase your conversions. VDP views are up 19%. VDP views for 30 seconds or more are up 82%, and form submissions are double at 116% increase, just by doing these things that I've listed for you in this webinar. Okay, so again, key takeaways: have a full and complete Google My Business listing for all of your dealership's departments. Consistently add new photos, update your holiday hours, ensure your citations and your directory listings are all correct, and make sure your primary and secondary categories are all filled out. Okay. Cool. So thanks, everyone. That's all the information I had to share today. I'm going to quickly check if we have some questions here. Let's check if we have. So is there going to be a recording? Yes, there's going to be a recording. Presentation. The presentation will be sent out as well, and it will be available on go.trader.ca. There'll be some more information about that. There's another question here. We're just, do you know if a feed can be set up to list inventory products on Google My Business, or does this need to be, it probably says, yeah, need to be manual. So Google My Business does not allow for a product feed today, but there are third-party tools to do this. Internally, at Trader, our SEO and our LSO products, our local search products that manage Google My Business, we do have a tool to syndicate this product inventory directly into Google My Business. So natively, you can't do it within Google My Business, but with a third-party tool or with the solutions that we offer, yes, you can syndicate that information directly within Google. Another question: how can we change what third-party reviews listings are displayed? So you can't directly influence the third-party listings that show up on Google. What shows up there, this was on the reviews section when I was suggesting that Yelp and Facebook and Yellow Pages can show up in your listing. You can't directly influence what shows up there. Basically, if you do a search for your dealership's name and you look in your organic results, the listings that show up organically are the ones that are going to get pulled in there. So if there's one getting pulled that you don't want to be there, the only thing that I could suggest is maybe influencing the other listings. Like if you don't want 411.ca to be there, well, ensure that Yelp and Facebook and Yellow Pages all have good reviews, and those listings are filled out so that potentially they rank higher and you get more exposure for those platforms within your Google My Business listing. That's what I would recommend. A few more questions here. Glad to see some questions coming in. Which is okay. Let's go by this way. Would it be smart to go back and respond to old reviews now, or best to leave them and begin responding to new ones now posted? So, I mean, you don't got to go, I wouldn't probably go 2 years or, a year back, maybe 6 months, right? Think about what, if you were going to a dealership, the reviews from 2 years ago probably aren't as important as maybe the ones from the last 6 months. So do as many as you can. Probably 6 months is where I would probably stop and halt there. Will Trader integrate Trader listings with Google listings? So no, not something that, to my knowledge, that we're actively developing today. Like I said, our SEO and LSO products do have a tool to help syndicate this, but not directly through autoTRADER.ca, not today. Where specifically can you cross-link your departments? Okay, so yes, I probably didn't explain this very well. So if you have your listings developed for your sales, your parts, and your service, go to Google and search for those listings. Get them to show up in Google search. There is a link on that listing that says edit this information. And when you click that link, a box will show up, and there's an area, a text field, where you can put where the listing is located in. And you type in your primary listing, and you link them that way. So you don't do it from Google My Business, you actually do it from Google Search specifically. What is the primary category for the service department and the parts department? So that was on one of the last slides I had there. So car service is your primary category for service department. Auto parts store is your primary category for parts department. We have an old driving by rating. Should I respond or report? I'm not too familiar with what that means. Judy, if you want to put more information or email, you can email me directly. Driving by rating. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what you mean there. If it's a list, if the only way that you can report a list or a review to get it removed is if it has derogatory language or swearing. It's very difficult to get a Google My Business review removed, but if you feel like it should be, I would try giving it a shot. Yeah, let's see here. Just want to make sure we got a lot of questions, which is great. So if we don't get to your question, I'll make sure to answer it following up separately. To add to the last question, we have 2 separate listings. Service has products beta, but sales does not. Yes. Not all listings have the products beta section. Fortunately, there's really nothing you can do there until Google decides, for whatever reason, to release it to your listing. So check your listings. Not all do, but check for sure. Question. We have been hesitant to create individual department Google My Business listings as we are concerned that we will lose our high-ranking reviews. If we link these, will review ratings merge? No, this will not happen. Reviews will not. You can ask for it to happen. So if there is a review that's about service, that's on your primary listing, or vice versa, you can request Google to do that, but no, that won't happen automatically. So your new listings will come up with no reviews. They'll be very fresh. If you do want that to happen, you can request it. No, it will not happen automatically. So we'll have to end it there, guys. Thank you for all of your questions and your engagement. If you have any more questions, you can always follow up with the email that you see here, b2bmarketing@trader.ca. And please, anybody that attended this webinar, if you're interested in a complimentary Google My Business and Dealership website SEO audit, you're absolutely, if you want to reach out to that email address again, stay tuned for full details. We'll send you a follow-up. If you're interested in that audit or asking any more questions, please do reach out. Thank you, everybody, for your time, and I expect that follow-up email soon. Thank you.